Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otta with FedScoop TV. Welcome to our Cybersecurity Heroes series, and I'm talking with Jeff Eisensmith, the CISO for DHS. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
So, share with our viewers how you have significantly improved cybersecurity within the agency.
So let me just say, one of the things we've done is the cyber sprint that came out of OMB last summer was really an amazing, effective way of driving security into the federal government, and it had a couple hallmarks to it. One, it had extraordinary leadership buy-in, it had hard dates, and it had a very crisp picture of what they were going to do. And that model really did well. For DHS, it was amazing. So at DHS, we basically followed suit. We had a number of internal DHS-only follow-on cyber orders that were signed out by the Undersecretary for Management. The beauty is that the Secretary, the Deputy Secretary, the Undersecretary, the Deputy Undersecretary, and my boss, the CIO, Luke McCormack, were just 100% behind these. And so the cyber orders were very crisp in what they asked. They had hard timelines, and they also demanded a letter of acceptance of risk from the principals for everything that didn't get done. And that in itself was amazing for helping drive change, because sometimes, quite often, the problems are seen to be CIO only.
Okay.
Once you make the department head sign the letter of acceptance of risk, the programs have to really kind of pony up, and the visibility is a lot broader. And that was really a fundamental change that was quite effective for us.
Very interesting. So, as agencies look to leverage new cybersecurity technology, how do agencies push the boundary when it comes to next generation data security practices? I mean, agencies are working with petabytes of data, so what strategies and tools are the government putting in place to, guard against that?
So I would say first and foremost, DHS is one of the tri-chairs of FedRAMP.
Okay.
Right, so FedRAMP was a program to share authorization work. It's a lot of work to get a cloud provider to a place that is at an adequate level of security. It takes a long time to get there. So the idea was DoD, GSA, and DHS are the CIOs, are actually the tri-chairs. We vet and maintain the PATOs, the authorizations on these cloud providers.
This is the JAB, right?
The JAB, yes, right, the Joint Authorization Board. So what that does is it lets other Ds and As and other organizations as well look at a cloud provider. Time to market begins to go through the floor, because all that work of authorization, which is a difficult one to do, is already done. All that a DNA has to do is step in and say, this is what was approved, this is what I'm going to do, these are the deltas, I have to make a risk decision about that. So time to market is good. FedRAMP is also introducing and piloting high clouds.
Right.
There are 3 providers that are offering this, and we're right on the cusp of that. And that's a really powerful thing to add extra levels of protection. And in and above that, if Ds and As really want to protect that data, there are ways of encrypting the data that's at rest in those clouds. So there really are a number of ways of getting there. If you want to go back to the beginning of the question, which was, I believe, how do we inject this technology in?
Right.
I would say DevOps, right?
Okay.
I mean, DevOps is one of the most exciting things I see as a security professional coming out of the block. The idea that, done well, security requirements are actually put into the burn down list. Security harnesses are built into the test harnesses. So every time you check in code, you're looking for functionality, you're also checking robust security, you're also doing things like 508 compliance and all the other things that are very important to do that are routinely bolted on at the end. They're built right in. So that's an exciting thing. And that, as far as time to market, the risk associated with delivering product, it's a great story.
Interesting. So you talked about this a little bit in our first question, but culture change is such a key part of improving cybersecurity posture. How are you driving your agency to think differently about cybersecurity?
So at the worker level, which is important, we basically double down on our cybersecurity education efforts. We're also introducing entire programs to do social engineering drills and the exercises within the components. So the way I like to phrase it is, you want to have a healthy sense of paranoia in your workforce. You don't want to make them be so frightened to move that they don't do their job, but you just want to introduce enough paranoia that they think about whether they're going to click that link or not. So every single one of our employees knows that they're a valuable part of the security chain. The other part we're doing too is security metrics are now being used throughout the department. So things like acquisitions. Time you're coming before an acquisition board, they're pulling the FISMA scorecard up and they're going, how are you doing? You have weakness remediations, POAMs, that have been sitting for too long. I'll tell you what, before we give you the money to go to the next step, why don't you clean this up and come back to us? You go through 2 of those, and the rest of the people that are lining up, they're going to get that taken care of prior to coming to the acquisition decision. That's been a very powerful tool for us.
So finally, what is one piece of technology that agencies have to get right if they're to keep their networks secure? I know that we talk about, there's no silver bullet for cybersecurity.
Sure.
But where, along the technological sphere, where are the gaps, or where is there room for improvement inside agencies?
Okay, so I am from DHS. Continuous Diagnostics and Mitigations comes from DHS. CDM is not a single point solution. CDM is a suite of tools that what actually DHS is doing and many of the other departments and agencies are doing is they're doing an enterprise buy. So it's a fully orchestrated solution for the phase 1 products being delivered, installed, and serviced by a provider. Many competitors came in and did bids. The Ds and As looked at them and picked out the best fit for their mission and what they had on the ground. I know that I'm extraordinarily excited about getting CDM in place. CDM also has phases 2, 3, and now 4 coming online. There's a BPA model in place, so the more you buy, the lower the O&M tail comes down. It has a $6 billion ceiling. I expect that my O&M costs will continue to fall as more Ds and As are coming online with CDM. And one of the things I'll say too is that I get a lot of vendors with new products coming to me saying, hey, I'd like to come talk to you. And my response almost always is, CDM is a program that takes new vendors, they vet them, they categorize them, they put them into the BPA. That's where I would prefer to buy them. Go talk to CDM and get on the BPA. So I think that, to me, is the most systematic, best way to move forward to ensure security products get delivered in a really effective and also cost-effective way.
Very, very interesting stuff, Jeff. Thanks for stopping by.